Every year when the Nobel Prize in Economics is announced, the world doesn't just see it as an award, it sees it as a message. This prize honors economists whose ideas had the power to reshape societies and transform millions of lives. But here's the twist: this prize wasn't even part of Alfred Nobel's original plan. It was added later by the Swedish central bank, which is why economists often joke we only got a seat at the Nobel table because a central bank paid the bill. Funny, but also true. Economics is more than numbers. It determines the fate of nations, and this year's laureates show that clearly. Daron Acemoglu, Simon Johnson, and James A. Robinson have revealed one of the most important truths of our time: the success or a failure of nations depends not on geography or resources, but on the strength of their institutions. Thus, economics often seems complicated, but at its core, it is a science that shapes real lives. It explains why some countries flourish while others struggle. The 2025 Nobel Prize in Economics highlights this truth beautifully. Awarded to Daron Acemoglu, Simon Johnson, and James A. Robinson, it celebrates scholars who uncovered the real engine of national prosperity. Their research challenges old assumptions by showing that natural resources, location, or population don't determine a country's fate. What truly matters is the quality of its institutions, systems of law, governance, and rule enforcement. Their work has influenced governments, reshaped development strategies, and guided nations toward better policymaking. The famous book, Why Nations Fail, has become a global reference for understanding how political systems shape economic outcomes. Through historical analysis and modern-day examples, they show that good institutions lead to opportunity, innovation, and long-term stability. For decades, economists have tried to answer a fundamental question: why are some nations rich while others remain poor? Even today, the richest 20% of countries are nearly 30 times wealthier than the poorest 20%. This gap isn't explained by natural advantages alone. Through years of research, Acemoglu, Johnson, and Robinson found that the real difference lies in institutional quality. Strong institutions build trust, and trust fuels growth. When laws are fair, corruption is low, and rules apply equally to everyone, people feel confident investing in skills, businesses, and innovation. Wealth grows not because of geography, but because people believe their efforts will be rewarded. That's why institutions are often called the invisible engine of prosperity. Countries that protect rights and enforce laws give people the freedom to create wealth, while weak systems lead to stagnation and inequality. Economy is simply a system that distributes resources, but it works only if people trust the system. Strong institutions, such as courts, central banks, and regulatory bodies, give people confidence that their hard work will pay off. Someone studying for years to become an engineer knows their degree will be recognized and their contracts will be honored. However, in countries with weak institutions, rules are unclear, corruption is common, and contracts don't mean much. This discourages people from investing in education or starting businesses because the risk is too high. Over time, innovation slows, productivity falls, and economies fail to grow. The Nobel laureates show that institutions shape everyday decisions, whether someone pursues a skill, starts a business, or saves money. When institutions are strong, people feel secure and productive. When they are weak, societies fall into poverty traps that are hard to escape. The key debate in economics is whether wealth creates good institutions or institutions create wealth. To answer this, the laureates studied history, especially the colonial era. They discovered a striking pattern. Regions that were rich before colonization often became poor afterward. Why? Because colonial powers built extractive institutions, designed to control local populations and extract resources, not to encourage growth. Meanwhile, places like the United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand developed inclusive institutions. As settlers needed systems that protected their rights and allowed communities to prosper, When these nations gained independence, they inherited strong foundations for long-term success. Countries with extractive systems, however, inherited corruption, instability, and weak governance. This historical evidence shows clearly that strong institutions create wealth, not the other way around. Nations don't fail because they lack resources. They fail because they inherit systems that block opportunity and innovation. For now, the power of institutions can be seen clearly in modern examples. One of the most famous is the border dividing Arizona, USA, and Sonora, Mexico. Both sides share the same geography, climate, and even cultural roots. Yet living conditions are dramatically different. On the US side, incomes are higher, life expectancy is longer, and public safety is stronger. On the Mexican side, corruption, weak law enforcement, and unstable governance limits economic opportunity. This difference exists because of institutions, not location. Acemoglu and Robinson argue that inclusive institutions create opportunities for everyone, while weak institutions restrict growth to small elites. Across almost all wealthy nations have strong institutions, and almost all poor nations struggle with weak ones. This modern evidence reinforces the core message. National prosperity is built through fair laws, effective governance, and systems that encourage innovation. Improving institutions is difficult because those who control weak systems often benefit from them. These elites resist reform because change threatens their power and wealth. History shows that successful institutional reforms usually come through peaceful, gradual transfers of power, not sudden revolutions, which often replace one powerful group with another. The laureates research sends a powerful message. Prosperity grows when nations strengthen governance, reduce corruption, and build systems that benefit everyone, not just a few. This means that the path to development is not about discovering resources, it is about designing systems that allow people to invest, innovate, and trust the future. Strong institutions give nations the ability to break free from poverty to build lasting prosperity. Ultimately, their work proves that economic success is not predetermined. It is a choice shaped by the institutions societies create.